Hello everyone, my name is Geng, coming from Fudan University. It's a great honor to present our work analyzing ground truth data of mobile gambling scams. This paper is a joint work of the researchers from Fudan University, Indiana University, and Tsinghua University. Let me show you a true story of my friend. One day, my friend was surfing on the internet and a man came to him and sent him a friend request. This man said he's a software engineer and works for an online gambling company. Then he lured my friend to download a gambling app by offering a too good to be true bonus. After that, my friend trusted the scammers and installed the app. He found his account to start gambling. Several days later, my friend found his account had been locked, and he wondering at how can he win his money back. Actually, my friend was cheated by the online gambling scams. Nowadays, gambling scams are extending their reach to mobile computing. In mobile gambling scams, scammers deliver scam messages by instant message apps and host scam platforms on mobile apps, which prevent the victims from cashing out their winnings. Gambling scams have already caused a huge financial loss to individuals and business. The Canadian lottery scams net more than $5 billion from United States, and in China, online gambling scams are with the highest per capita financial loss among all kinds of scams. Prior works on web-based scams mainly focus on detecting scam gateway sites, identifying the scam campaigns or scam website lifetime. A key limitation of these works was that they were based on external measurement with limited visibility to the kill chain of gambling scams. For example, how does a scammer launch social engineering attacks to lure victims, and what's the modus operandi of the scam platforms? So far, little has been done to analyze such mobile scam apps, not to mention any effort to understand the underground ecosystem behind them. To answer the above questions based on a valuable ground truth data set, which contains more than 1,000 incident reports and scam apps spanning from January 1st to December 31, 2020. What's more, the detailed incident reports include how scammers establish a connection with victims, how scammers build and earn the trust of victims, and how scammers deliver the scam apps to victims, etc. We present the first systematic study of mobile gambling scams by a qualitative study of more than 1,000 scam incident reports and behavior analysis of the scam apps. In our study, we model the scam activity to 4 stages and examine their social engineering tricks, scam apps, and hidden payment channels. This research has been approved by our institution's IRB. In our research, we only use the previously collected data, and any possible PII was removed before this report was shared with us. And we only place the deposit request and then withdrew all these requests after collecting the transaction information. Over the course of this paper, we did not interact with either the victims or the scammers. We are sure that the benefits to the general public far exceed any knowledge that the criminals might obtain from the high-level details presented in our paper. In our paper, first of all, we investigate the social engineering tricks used in mobile gambling scams by conducting a qualitative study of more than 1,000 scam incident reports. We use the qualitative open coding technique on 1,461 scam incident reports, and 2 cybersecurity professionals independently reviewed a random set of 75 incident reports and resolved inconsistency while generating the initial codebook. They then independently code the remaining reports and compare their results by Recuritment alpha coefficient, a widely used statistic measure of the agreement achieved when coding a set of units of analysis. Recuritment alpha of this study is 85%, higher than the reliability threshold in social science. The first stage of the gambling scam is that the scammer establishes connection to victim. However, it's well known that it is hard for anyone to establish the connection with the strangers. After investigating the scam incident reports, we found that most scammers leverage role-play to bootstrap the attack. Scammers favorite professional role-play. About 22% scammers act as the technical staff or gambling tutors who can hack into the gambling system or master gambling secrets to help victims to profit. Also, many scammers establishing romantic or close relationship with victims, such as boyfriend or girlfriend, to build the trust. Apart from that, some scammers choose a role with higher social status and prestige, such as law enforcement officers, to contact victims. As for the victim recruitment channel, different from traditional scams which heavily relies on telephone, SMS, and email, our study reports that mobile gambling scams contact victims for more diverse reasons such as house renting and job hunting through various approaches such as local forums and online Q&A platforms. A critical step in gambling scams activity is delivering apps to victims. To achieve this goal, scammers leverage several psychological strategies. We call a strategy as scammer-driven, when scammers persuade the victim to download the gambling apps. And the code of victim-driven means that a victim proactively requests a gambling apps after being baited. For example, scammers continuously discuss and show gambling profit gains in group channels or posting their gambling incomes on social media. Interestingly, when comparing the scam loss between the case coded as scam-driven and victim-driven, we found that scam loss of victim-driven are significantly higher than scammer-driven. This difference indicates that the social engineering tricks which lure a victim to request gambling apps proactively are more efficient at tricking victim out of money. After delivering scam apps, scammers start to enforce the victims to deposit money continually. This step can be characterized into two subtypes, the incentive and the pressure. The incentive strategy. A scammer will show the incentives for continually depositing money, such as winning bonus, and meanwhile, 11% of scammers put psychological pressure on the victim if they do not make deposits. Although the scammer prefer to use the incentive to lure a victim, we found that these two strategies pose similar success rate. All the incident reports in our study are associated with the cash-out scams. For example, scammers prevent victims from cashing out gambling incomes, and we characterize this scammer logic into two subtypes: the disable app functionality and modify the account. Most scammers deploy their scamming logic by disabling scam apps functionality, which means that the victim accounts are frozen, or the cash-out function is disabled. Meanwhile, 22 scammers directly wipe out the victim's balance, which was coded as modified accounts. Apart from above social engineering tricks, the scammers also carefully crafted scam apps to help launch the attack. We will show how the app customized their distribution channels, developer framework, permission declaration, compatibility requirement, and network infrastructure to launch the attack. After comparing the package name and the bundle name of gambling apps, we found that none of these gambling scam apps can be found through the reputable app markets. However, settling apps on Android and iOS requires configuration changes in respective system settings. We try our best to figure out how typical and non-technical victims managed to carry out a series of actions to sideload the apps. By visiting scam apps download links recorded in the report, we learn that the scammers typically provide step-by-step tutorials for sideloading apps on app download pages. Victims only need about 4 or 5 clicks to sideload an app following these tutorials, as shown on this slide. And when we examine the developed framework of gambling scam apps, we found scammers abuse online app generator, OAG for short, to automatically generate scam apps as well as sign-less apps. Compared with genuine gambling apps, gambling scam apps request more dangerous permission to support social engineering tricks, such as keep user stickiness while sending push message or constructing built-in IM channels. We also inspect the compatibility of gambling scam apps and genuine gambling apps. The blue one is gambling scam apps, and the brown is genuine gambling app, and the green and the red is common apps from Google Play and third-party app store, respectively. We found that gambling scam apps tend to declare lower requirement for minimum OS versions and to ensure compatibility across versions, and thus can cover more victims, even though their development SDK versions are not outdated. Almost all scam apps declare minimum SDK versions to be 19, aka Android version 4.4 or lower. What's more, we observe 80 scam apps that even support Android 4.0.4, which released in 2012, with target SDK 28 and 29. Similar finding can be observed in iOS apps. Besides, the compatibility of genuine gambling apps is consistent with gambling apps, but not with gambling scam apps. We also set up the backend URL identification and traffic profiling toolchain to discover the backend infrastructure of gambling scam apps. We found that gambling scam apps leverage distributors, even though distributor pools, to distribute backend servers, which significantly improves the scam app's robustness. After diving into this app's distributor and backend server domain lifecycle, we found that more than 55% of backend servers was registered less than 2 years ago and 12% less than 1 month ago, while the distributor domains was registered 5 years ago, and this difference may help us to construct more efficient detection strategies. And next, we analyze the various payment channels of mobile scam apps to understand their gambling deposit operations and estimate the revenue of online gambling scam activities. Since scam apps usually embedded with multi-factor authentication method before displaying payment details, we manually investigate 100 scam apps to determine their payment channels. In addition to traditional bank payment channels and online payment service reported in previous works, we observe scammers heavily adopt a nominalized payment method, such as cryptocurrency including Tether and CGPay, and use money moor-based payment methods such as idlefish money moor, and we will introduce the novel payment channels in the following slides. And this figure shows that in the payment channel of idlefish money moor, in step 1, scammers recruit money moors who control seller and buyer of a flea market app named Idlefish to transfer gambling deposit. More specifically, in step 2, when a victim funds the account to gamble, a scam app will trigger a task, which is step 3, asks a money moor to generate an Idlefish order of the account and then return the peer pay link, which is a kind of link generated to allow the payment by other parties. In step 4, the peer pay link is associated with the counterfeit Idlefish order to the victim. After that, scam apps usually ask the victim to scan the QR code to deposit money, and the peer pay link webpage looks exactly the same as the normal online payment webpage, making the payment innocent. During the payment procedure, victims do not need to register in Idlefish. Instead, they pay by the peer-pay link in the online payment apps such as Alipay. And when finishing the purchase on Idlefish, the money pool will transfer the income and obtain commissions. Let's show the takeaway based on a valuable ground truth dataset which contains more than 1,000 incident reports and apps. We presented the first systematic study of mobile gambling scams by a qualitative study of scam incident report and the behavior analysis of scam apps. We model the scam activities to 4 stages and examine their social engineering tricks, scam apps, and hidden payment channels. And that's all. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks so much. We have time for questions. If someone wants to ask, please make sure to use the mic because the remote end can't hear you if you're not on the mic. Maybe I'll get started first. So Google allows sideloading of apps on Android, but they also ban apps that are known bad. So did you report these apps to Google? How quickly did they respond? What was your experience like knowing these APKs are known bad? Did they respond? Like, what did Android say?
I'm sorry, can I beg your pardon?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Did you report the APKs that were malicious to Google?
Okay. Since they couldn't be found on Google Play, and so we reported this APK to some Chinese company. Yeah.
And did they take them all down, or was there any impact of those reports? Did something change, or?
Indeed, some antivirus engine, after we report that, they labeled this APK as malware.
Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, we should wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining remotely. Thanks.